Hello, and thank you for watching this video on the new Streamvault Analytics appliances. My name is Jean-Pierre Picard, and I'll be walking you through today's presentation. With me in this video is David Gray, Product Line Manager for Appliances. David, thanks for joining us.
Hey JP, thanks for having me.
So this short presentation will cover three main topics. The first one is we're going to talk about the motivation to even introduce a line of analytics appliances with Streamvault. After that, we'll take a look at the different models available, and we'll conclude this with a look at pricing and ordering. So if you look at the market challenges that motivated our decision to launch analytics optimized appliances, the first one is definitely the high hardware cost of video analytics today. So video analytics have started realizing some of the promises that they have been making for several years, and as more and more people want to take advantage of that, they turn to system integrators who can look at their existing tested hardware and see how it performs. The reality of it is that traditional appliances that contain hard drives, that uses processors that are optimized really for managing data being transferred, just don't translate well to video analytics. And that means that the total cost of ownership is still very high. The second challenge is that it is complex to design a system that can provide good performance for video analytics. And it relies on a very different set of components that security system integrators might not be familiar with. And even if they are, it just makes it one more technology stack to stay on top of and to be familiar with. And that as costs, this is additional overhead. And finally, analytics can be extremely beneficial to operations. They can help make sense of a lot of data, identify where an operator should focus, but it can also disrupt activities if it's running on the same machine as the core system, because a high analytics resource usage could come and overwhelm the day-to-day operation. So that's where Streamvault Analytics come in. They provide an easier path to smart security. And here the value comes not only from the optimized design, which greatly reduces the cost per stream, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but also from the fact that we provide the same one-touch guarantee on performance that we do with other Streamvault products. So we provide a set of tested indoor and outdoor scenarios and different resolutions for which unified analytics have been tested. And that means that a system integrator can confidently go out there, design a system, and rest assured that analytics will not jeopardize its project profitability. And as they get more comfortable, they can look at expanding their promotion of appliances of analytics simply because they've got a few projects under their belt. And of course, as with all other Streamvault, it's also an easier deployment option because each appliance comes preloaded with Unified Analytics, Kiwi Vision Privacy Protector, and all the Security Center components, windows, and databases that are necessary to deploy. So it's a much shorter process from reception to deployment in the field. So David, can you give us a bit of an overview about the different appliances we're introducing?
Absolutely. So we have two different models that we're launching with today. These have both been, as you mentioned, they've been performance tested and designed really to be optimized for Kiwi Analytics. Today we started testing with the integrated analytics, so that would be privacy protector and intrusion detection. And as more and more of the Kiwi analytics are integrated into Security Center, we'll be testing with those as well. So the first one we have is sort of a small unit designed for easy deployment, easy setup to another standalone system that's already existing and can do up to 20 privacy protector or 8 intrusion detection streams. And the second unit we offer is the SV1000E. So this is a rack mount appliance. It's in the 1000 range. It's really a professional grade solution. It's a great add-on to a rack mount security center solution you already have today. And you can keep adding more of them as you go to meet the full needs of your project.
So if you compare this to traditional appliances using the same form factor, what kind of performance gains are we seeing here?
Sure, yeah, that's a great question, and it really comes down to the components we've selected. So the CPU we selected and the graphics cards we've put in them, it really is optimized for video analytics. If we were to take a traditional rack mount SV1000, we might see up to 5 privacy protector streams per unit, and that's really down to the CPU not being optimized for analytics. With the ones we've selected here, with the internal components we have, as you can see, we're up to 50. So we're seeing maybe, on the generous side, a 10 times increase in performance. And then the other key value that you mentioned is it's not going to have any impact on your video recording, right? So your security center will still operate seamlessly. You're not going to have to worry about dropping any frames over there. And then the analytics will act as a standalone appliance and take care of all your analytics needs. So here's what a typical deployment will look like for your analytics. As you can see, basically the middle section and the left of the page here, it's your traditional security center deployment, and then the analytics deployment goes in beside it. That actually means that you can deploy it as a brand new system with a new archiver, or you can just add one of these analytics appliances to your existing deployment. Very easy to install.
So in this type of deployment, David, does this setup require bandwidth allocation at the archiver appliance level?
That's a great question, JP, and it really depends on the deployment of the system. If the system's configured with multicast, then the video feed will be going directly from the camera to the analytics appliance where the analytics happen. If it's a unicast deployment, then it'll be the archiver, which is actually redirecting the video feed to the analytics appliance. And in this case, we'll be using some of the redirection throughput on the archiver itself to get that feed to the analytics. Another thing worth considering is with certain analytics like Privacy Protector, there's 2 video feeds which are stored. There's the anonymized version and there's the original version. And because of this, you can use up to twice the amount of recording throughput on the archiver, depending on the resolution of the anonymized video feed. So the SV1000A, it's a micro form factor, so it's a very small unit. It's really, quite attractive, small unit to deploy. It's not very big. It shouldn't get in the way, and it has quite surprising, analytics numbers for how small it is. So it's got a Windows 10 operating system. It uses the Intel Core i5-7500 CPU, which is an upgrade from the traditional SV100, which we use for video recording. We just need more of that CPU. It's got 8 gigs of memory. There's also an option available with 16 gigs if you are going to be running other applications in the background. The traditional 8 gigs with the i5 is sufficient for the numbers that we've listed already. So that's 20 privacy protector and 8 intrusion detections. But the 16 gig version is available if you need to run other stuff, or if there's going to be something else running in the background and you might run into memory constraints. It's got 2 display ports and a VGA port. So if you look at the back of the unit, there's options to plug in monitors as well. But as a standalone appliance, it's really unnecessary. You can plug it in, configure it, and then you don't really need to log into it ever. It's all going to be managed through Security Center.
Where would you deploy SV100 typically?
Yeah, it's designed to go sort of beside where an SV100 and an SV300 would play well today. So I think a lot of, it could be a very attractive option for small retail, maybe some banking, small industrial or commercial, somewhere where you're, in the 0 to 30 camera range, and a portion of those cameras need to be analyzed, but not all of them. So it's a great unit, easy to deploy, but not really for your more enterprise deployment, more for at an edge location like a small retail store. And then we have the SV1000E. It's a 1000, but because of the generation of the CPUs, we're calling it a 1010E. It's again got Windows 10 Pro, but this one has an i7-8700 CPU in it, which is the latest gen Intel Core processor. It's got 1 NVIDIA Quadro P2000 graphics card. It's got 16 gigs of memory, and again 4 display ports from the graphics card. Like I said in the previous slide, this is a standalone unit, so it doesn't need to have a monitor plugged in and being used all the time. But once it's configured, you should just have everything you need through Security Center, whichever client station's running Security Desk. This one comes with a standard 5-year warranty with next day on site, and that can be uplifted by 2 years if needed.
So where would you deploy a SV1010E over the SV100?
Again, if it needs to be rack mounted, this is the right solution for you. It really is designed to go right next to all your other Streamvaults that you have in a deployment where they're rack mounted. So it's really a question of rack mounted or non-rack mounted. If it's non-rack mounted, it's cost effective to just keep adding SV100As. If it's rack mounted, this is really the solution you're looking for. And another thing to note here is we don't have a 2U appliance that we're offering today. We're considering it. If the market demands, really indicate that it's necessary, we'll look at getting one out. But today we found that the most cost-effective solution in terms of dollars per analytics channel is to just keep adding more of these. So if you have requirement for 100 analytics privacy protectors, you're better off just adding 2 of these 1U servers than you are going into the 2U servers, which are much more expensive. So when designing a system, don't be shy to just keep stacking these, as many as you need for a job. If we see that there's a strong demand for a 2U option that's a higher price per channel, we'll look at doing that down the road. So pricing and ordering, we have these available in the in Parts Manager today. The part number structure starts with SVA, so that's Streamvault Analytics. It should be pretty obvious. Then we have the core, whether or not it's the 1000 or the 100, so that just denotes the size and whether or not it's rack mountable. And then we have the 2000 in the rack mount solutions, which indicates what type of GPU it is. So this GPU is an NVIDIA Quadro P2000. If it was a 1080, then it would be a GTX 1080. And then the 130 denotes that it's a single CPU and it's got the processor which ends the last 2 digits in 30. So parts, this is for the SV1000. So we've got 5 on the price list today. They're pretty good, a pretty good range that we have here. And if you look at the USD MSRP, they're quite attractive. And once you've got that dealer price, you're looking at, it can be as low as $60 per analytics channel to the dealer. So we have in options with a P1000 or 2 P1000s. We have an option with the P2000, a single one, and a dual P2000. And then we have another option with a single 1080. So the 1080 is a dual socket card, so we can only fit one of those in this appliance.
So why do we default to one graphics card and not 2?
Yeah, that's a good question. So as you can see from the slide, we do offer 2 graphics cards, but the model that we really want to lead with is the the third one down. So the SVA 1010E R2 S2000 i7, and that's because that's where we see the best dollar per analytics channel. We get the best return per channel there. Adding another GPU is possible and it will get us some benefits, but you don't get as many benefits as you would expect from that additional GPU. So in that case, it makes sense to add a second system. But for sure, if you need something like 55 analytics channels, if the opportunity requires that, you can go to the dual card instead of having to deploy a whole new system. But that's why we lead with that single GPU model, is because it really is the most cost-effective one from our testing. And for the SV100A, there's 2 models available, like I mentioned previously. There's the SV100 256Gi5. And that is the 8 gig version, which is optimized for 20 privacy protector and 8 intrusion detectors. And then if you're memory constrained for any other reason, you can go with the SVA 101 256Gi5. And that one has, as I mentioned, just an additional 8 gigs of memory to have a 16 gig deployment overall. One thing worth noting, if you're purchasing either one of these systems, you can get an analytics license with it. So here you have the intrusion detection or the privacy protector license. So these can come to be deployed only with these all-in-one analytics units. So that's the 100 or the 101. And what you'll notice is that the MSRP price for those analytics channels is actually lower than it is anywhere else. Because we know confidently that the system can do up to X amount of channels, we can confidently price them a little more aggressively, knowing that support costs will be lower or should be lower because we won't run into issues with it. So that's why we have sort of a more attractive price there. It's easy to deploy, and it's going to be lower maintenance for support. So you get a better price there, and it is only if you purchase it with the analytics. So the analytics server is only to be purchased with these analytics licenses and vice versa. So moving on to sales tools, JP, I'll let you pick it up.
Sure. All right. So in terms of sales tools, we have a small deck of insertion slides that include the challenges slide, the architecture and specification slides we had earlier that you can use and add to your Security Center presentation easily. And we also have a data sheet for each of the we also have a data sheet for each of the new products, so one for the SVA100 and one for the SVA1010E. And obviously the catalog has been updated to reflect the latest price list. So all of these are available on SharePoint Sales Tools today. All right. Now you can find all of these sales tools on the Channel Partner Portal as of today. And this concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening in. If you have any further questions, you can reach out to us at jppicard@genetec.com or at dgrey, Grey, at genetec.com.